This is Dan Busby, baseball ticket collector, researcher, and author. My first baseball book was entitled Before and After Babe Ruth, a story of the New York Yankees as told through the lens of tickets and passes. In this edition of Your Ticket to Baseball Nostalgia, we are covering the tickets and passes relating to the 1949 Brooklyn Dodgers season. This is all based on my book Before and After Jackie Robinson, a story of the Brooklyn National League team as told through the lens of tickets and passes. I'm sitting in a couple of old seats that were used at Wrigley Field decades ago. And I want to start by telling you that Jackie Robinson was hoping for a $20,000 contract for 1949, up from $12,005 he received in 1948. However, he settled for $17,005. In comparison, Bob Feller made $65,000 pitching for Cleveland in 1949, but compared with other Dodgers, Jackie was doing well. In 1949, Ralph Branca earned $12,005 and Pee Wee Reese received $18,000. Rickey was a hard man with a dollar. Robinson reported to spring training right on target, weight-wise, in excellent condition, and with his morale high. Branch Rickey's effective, if not too subtle, Christmas gift of a scale, the athlete's fierce pride in his abilities, and his knowledge of his importance as a pioneer all primed him for what would turn out to be the best year of his career. Jackie hit over 500 in exhibition games. After 3 years of being restrained by Branch Rickey, Robinson was unleashed to play and speak with abandon. In one interview, Jackie was quoted as saying, "They'd better be rough on me this year because I'm sure going to be rough on them." Here's a copy of the Dodgers scorecard for 1949. Here also is their 1949 yearbook and a 1949 season pass. The Dodgers set a new attendance mark for opening day with 34,530 rooters at Ebbets Field. The previous mark of 31,648 was set in 1941, BR. That's before Branch Rickey. Robinson, Ferrillo, and Campanella hit home runs to down the Giants 10-3. Here is the opening day ticket. Billy Cox was installed as the first-string third baseman on opening day. Casey Stengel called him the Acrobat, killing baseline doubles for the next 7 years. Billy had spent 4 years in the Army, including 18 months on Guadalcanal. He caught malaria there and never really got over it. That accounts for his baseball physique. 150 pounds on a 5-foot 10-inch frame. On April 24, the Dodgers announced that Roy Campanella was their first-string catcher, replacing Bruce Edwards. He celebrated the day with 3 hits, including a double, pushing his batting average to a lofty 500. Branch Rickey was happy with the racial makeup of the team with Robinson and now Campanella. He would soon bring up Don Newcombe from Montreal. He wanted Monty Irvin, which would have given the Dodgers one of the best modern times outfield, Ferrillo in right, Snyder in center, and Irvin in left. But the Black Newark Eagles had Irvin under contract, and Effa Manley, whose husband owned the Eagles, blocked Irvin going to the Dodgers. He would later be signed by the New York Giants. On May 13, the Dodgers called up Don Newcombe from their Montreal farm team. He brought the number of black players on the team to 3, joining Robinson and Campanella. Newcombe was the first great black pitcher in the major leagues. He was 22 years old, 6'4", and 220 pounds. He had a buzzing fastball, outstanding control, and a batting eye that eventually made him one of the best hitting pitchers in the game. He finished his career 149 and 90. His record would have been better, but mid-career alcohol finished him at age 31. In 1949, the Dodgers were still having trouble finding hotel accommodations for Jackie Robinson in Cincinnati and St. Louis. Dick Young of the Daily News said, "Jackie leads the league in everything but hotel reservations." Carl Ferrillo played center field before Duke Snider became the regular center fielder in 1949. Ferrillo then moved to right field. Author Roger Kahn said, "Carl Ferrillo possessed an astonishing throwing arm and a prescient sense of how the ball would carry him off the right field barrier. He reigned in right field with an arm that could have thrown a lamb chop past a wolf." Snider was rangy and gifted. Duke could get his glove 13 feet into the air. After the center field wall was cushioned with foam rubber, Snyder, in pursuit of high drives, ran at the wall, dug a spiked shoe into the rubber, and hurled his body upward. Duke Snyder had played 40 games for the Dodgers in 1947, 53 in 1948, but in 1949, he was the regular center fielder for the entire season. Contending for the 1949 pennant, Robinson was batting .361 on July 1st. He would go on to win the batting title at .342 and the stolen base crown with 37. Schotten placed him in the fourth slot in the batting order, batting cleanup. He played in every game in 1949 and was voted the most valuable player of the National League. On July 8, Hank Thompson, playing for the New York Giants, filling in for the injured Bill Rigney, faced Don Newcombe. It was the first time in Major League Baseball history that a black batter faced a black pitcher. Thompson went 0 for 5. All three black Dodgers, Robinson, Newcombe, and Campanella, who were termed the backbone of the 1949 team, were elected to the National League All-Star team, joining Dodgers Gil Hodges, Ralph Branca, Preacher Rowe, and Pee Wee Reese. The game was played at Ebbets Field. Only Ted Williams, Boston Red Sox right fielder, received more votes than Robinson. At the All-Star break, the Dodgers were 1/2 game ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League standings. The House Un-American Activities Committee recognized Robinson's now national stature. They asked him to testify before the committee to counter statements by Paul Robeson, a famous black entertainer, that Negroes would not fight against Russia if the need arose because they were second-class citizens. This was at the height of the Cold War. Robinson was not required to testify, but he believed there would be repercussions if he did not. On July 18, Robinson testified before the committee, with Branch Rickey helping him prepare, and called Robeson's statement silly and untrue. He told the committee that he was not an expert on communism, but he was an expert on being a colored American with 30 years' experience at it. On the last weekend of the 1949 season, the Dodgers held a Don Newcombe Day on September 24, with the rookie winning his 16th game with an 8-1 win over the Phillies. The next day, September 25, the team held a Pee Wee Reese Day. The Dodgers wouldn't have won the pennant if the Cardinals had not gone into a spin during the last week of the season. The Cardinals had printed their World Series tickets. They were ready for the World Series. The Cardinals dropped 4 games in a row, and suddenly the Dodgers were leading the Cardinals by a full game on the last day of the season. A win would take them to the World Series, and a loss would cause a playoff, exactly as had occurred in 1946, when the Dodgers lost to the Cardinals in the playoff. With the Dodgers playing in Philadelphia, coming to bat in the top of the 10th inning, the game was tied 7-7. The scoreboard flashed the news that the Cardinals had won their game, and the Phillies crowd roared in approval. Now the Dodgers had to win to avoid a playoff. Reese singled to left and moved to second on a sacrifice bunt. Duke Snyder leveled a curveball and sliced it deep into right field to put the Dodgers ahead 8-7. They would score one more run, shut out the Phillies in the bottom of the 10th, and win 9-7 to win the pennant. The team led the league both in home runs and stolen bases. With Campanella, they had the best catcher in the league, the best defensive infield, and 2 remarkable defensive outfielders in Snyder and Ferrillo. They had the league's leading hitter, 3 sluggers who hit more than 20 home runs, and 3 others who hit more than 15. Jackie Robinson topped the Dodgers' mathematics. He hit .342 to lead the league. His 203 hits were second only to Stan Musial. His 124 runs scored, second only to Ralph Kiner. He stole 37 bases, leading both leagues, and he stole home 5 times. Pee Wee Reese scored 132 runs, leading the league. He stole 26 bases, only second to Robinson's in the majors. He hit 16 home runs to match Robinson. Carl Ferrillo hit .322, walloped 18 homers, and batted in 106 runs. Gil Hodges led the club in home runs with 23 and 114 RBIs. Roy Campanella and Duke Snyder each hit 22 home runs. The top 2 pitchers in the National League in the matter of winning percentage were Dodgers' Preacher Rowe with 15-5 and Ralph Branca with 13-5. The only thing wrong with the Dodgers pitching staff was the delightful flightiness of youth. It was probably the youngest pitching staff that ever figured in a successful pennant fight. Don Newcombe and Ralph Branca were 23, others even younger or slightly older. Well, thank you for joining us for this edition of Your Ticket to Baseball Nostalgia. This video is based on my book, Before and After Jackie Robinson, a story of the Brooklyn National League team as told through the lens of tickets and passes. For more information on old baseball tickets, go to baseballticketman.com and order your copy of Before and After Babe Ruth and Before and After Jackie Robinson on Amazon. Watch for my third baseball book, Before and After Satchel Paige. And a special thank you to Daniel Herman, who shot and edited this video.